Hey, Brian here from quantlabs.net. Just wanted to give you a rundown of what seems to be a big weakness in R, the debugging within R compared to obviously a language like MATLAB or Java, any .NET language using Visual Studio. There's a big weakness in debugging within R. I'm sure there's going to be more advances in it as time marches on. But this so far has been the closest I could find with debugging in R with some kind of GUI. It is kind of what I would not consider has the same side of sort of slickness as what you'd find in something like an R. But what I want to show you is I put together some kind of checklist to demo. What I found was probably the easier way to do it. So let me go through that. I came across this link here at this navasan.com. I've got all the links available. So let me just give you a rundown of what to do. Here you have wallware, and what you're going to do is you're going to use Eclipse, the famous Java IDE for Java development and some other languages. Looks like I'll be using it for my C++. But you obviously need to install a package, an Eclipse plugin called StatET. Before you do that, you need to install a package for R called what's it called? RJ, I believe. Yeah, RJ. So if you have the current version of R, this is the line you would insert into your R console. I just did it within my R Studio, ran fine, installed everything. And the R package for RJ was installed quite well, RJ and RJQD. I'm not really using RStudio, but consider me Mr. Lazy. I just find RStudio is great for even package management through this little tab here and the install package. But it doesn't matter because either you go through the Eclipse or through the RStudio, it's still going to point to the same R repository in your R command interpreter shell or shell command. Now again, I'm using Windows. This can be done on any OS, including Mac OS 10 or Linux. So this is what you need to install. As I said, is the RJ in your as an R package, and then you install your Eclipse plugin. So there's some gotchas you may need to be aware of. I've already talked about what you need to do with the RJ as well as the Eclipse plugin. Now it does get kind of confusing depending upon your version. I'm using Eclipse Indigo or 3.7. So what you need to be aware of is when you do install that you line up your correct repository for Eclipse. So in my case, I'm using 3.7. So you use this repo link or your repository link when you install your Eclipse plugins. So where does that happen? Again, this is Eclipse Indigo or 3.7. Just come under Help, Install New Software, and what it will do is it'll ask where do you add. So you just click on your add and you enter in that repository right here. So again, you just make sure, in my case, that you install the correct URL. So in this case, this is the repo I would use for this plugin install, and just name it whatever. Alright, so it should install no problem as instructed in here. Yeah, all this stuff should install no problem. This one right here under this Navasan. But it can get tricky depending upon the version of Eclipse that you have. Okay, so once you get your stat ET plugin installed, what you need to do is to configure your stat ET. Again, I'm using Eclipse 3.7. There's various tips and tricks that you need to be aware of here. Let me me just review everything here. So you want to make sure that you get your run configuration set up properly for your R console within the R console within Eclipse. So what you'll notice here is I have the stat ET perspective. To change that, you just come under open perspective, okay, and then you just choose other, and then you should be able to see the stat ET here, and that will load up your stat ET perspective. So that's kind of important. Also, another trick that you should be aware of is the run configuration. There's debug configuration as well as a run configuration. You never have to deal with the debug configuration. I could be wrong on this, but I'm just basing upon these instructions at the Navizen site. So in my case, under the run configuration, this can get kind of tricky. Under here, under R console, you need to create a new configuration. So just go new, click on here, your new, okay, and then you have to ensure that you pick off your launch type. In my case, I'm using rterm, and the working directory. So if I load the current one, let me just get back to where I was here. So R console, my R console. So I have my rterm, and everything seems to work okay. Yeah, you just need to make sure that you choose, in my case right now, launch type, and then have a working directory, and the configuration again for your launch type. In my case, I chose rterm. Let me just make sure. The R console, you have to tell where your R is. Can't remember where that's done. Give me a second here. Yeah, okay. So what you do is once you get your run configuration working, in my case, let me just manually run it. So you come under the R configurations, and I have my R console. Just go run, and there you go. There's my R console. So it's now loaded the R console. No different than what you'd find in your R Studio. This part right here. So you can interactively work with your R. So in my case, let me just do a little simple command here. There you go. And now you can create your project. In my case, just go into new, and then you go other. Under here you'll find your stat ET type. So here you have many choices. What you first need to install or create is your R project. Okay. So once you create your R project and you name it and all that, you can then start adding your R script files. So in my case, you just come under R and then just choose your R script file. That's how these guys are created. And so now you can start creating an R script within your Eclipse. That's kind of cool, I think. So in this case, you can run it. You know, no different than you know, you can have it submit to R directly or via source. Let's just try that again with the other option here. And what can happen, you will see your objects of your R objects here, your matrices. But namely, I'm more interested in obviously with the debugging. So let me show you what we need to do here. This is kind of where R kind of falls over. I'm finding. So in my case, I have a R function. And what you need to do is you need to load up your a few things. First, you need to make your function in R, and in each case, you need to make sure you have your debug package loaded, or your R package called debug loaded. So again, I just come in here and into my R Studio, and I have here my debug package all ready to go. So it is loaded. So that looks okay. So if I come back into my Eclipse, I can do the same thing and manually load it for this R session. So there you go. It's loaded the debug R package, and then what you need to do is you need to tell R where your working directory will be. In my case, you also have to manually load up your R script file. Let me just see what working directory I got here. Okay, so it should work. So I've got the R source, the test R actively loaded in my console for this R session. So everything should work from here on out. So I've set the working directory. I've run this. So if I have to do it, what they call an mtrace. Now, what you need to be aware of, all this is explained right at the very bottom of the Navisan website. So let me just load up this mtrace on the test function. Alright, so it's now loaded, and I've got one more thing to do. So I can now run this function interactively, and it should load up my debugging console. Let me just see what happens here. So what we've got here is we've got my Eclipse, we've got the rdebug running now. So let's go through this session on this very simple R script. Okay. So what I'm doing is this little red asterisk is supposed to be a breakpoint. Now I'm still a little confused on how to use the debug, but I just want to show you that the capabilities do exist as instructed at this Navisan site. So everything seems to be working. It's just this interaction with this debugger seems to not work. So right now I'm on this line right here, a equals 2. So there you go. There's the value of a, which is 2, and then now we're going to do b. So I'm just pressing enter here in each session. So now it should be on the very last line, which is this line right here of C. Pressing enter again, that should bring back a value of 5, which it does. So in a kind of, I don't want to say a Mickey Mouse kind of way, it does kind of work. I just need to understand this better with a debug our package. So that's where we sit, and for now we are done with this video. If I see anything a little more advanced, I'll post subsequent I can never say this, subsequent videos on how to debug within R. A little more advanced with some kind of GUI that you can set breakpoints in that. But you know, best part is if you don't like R Studio for whatever reason, you can now get R working with in your Eclipse, which is kind of cool.